question.
Fire away.
In LA, you talked about your team got better. Jordan
Yeah.
played and felt like the spirits were higher, playing with more effort. How did that week look for you all? What about it allowed for that, and how do you feel like you guys?
Yeah, we just felt after the Nebraska game, we were a little beaten down. You play two. We'd gotten off to a tough start in the league, and then you played two teams the caliber. We played pretty darn well in the Illinois game and first half in Nebraska. I thought the second half kind of got beat down by their toughness and just being a really good team. And we just talked before we went out to California. We left that Monday. We just talked about the vibe that we wanted to have within the team. Whether it's good or it's bad, the way we need to practice. The way we need to treat each other as teammates and kind of the excitement we want to have in terms of playing. And I thought the guys really took that to heart. And sometimes getting away from home maybe is good too. We spent a week together where you're in the hotel, you're practicing, you're playing. And then, of course, when you win, it helps, right? I mean, anytime you have a chance to get a win, it's going to boost the morale. So even though we came up short in the UCLA game, I thought, again, there were a lot of good things. Defensively, I feel like we're getting better. We had a bad first half against UCLA, but the other three halves defensively, I thought we played really well out there in California. I thought we played with good sense of purpose. I thought guys were fighting, competing, and we're going to need more of that as we head into these last 11 games of the conference.
Coach, Eric Page was not in the part of the rotation at all in California and in that second half of the Nebraska game. Is there any specific issue matchup-wise, or is that more of a...
No, I mean, he played. He played double-figure minutes in those games. We just decided to go to a different. What were we? We were 0-7 going out there. So you're searching for different things, right? You want to give guys opportunities. There's been a big, and felt like Tyler had been playing well in practice. Wanted to just switch up the lineup a little bit. Have talked to those guys. I've told you guys, starting, coming off the bench, whatever it is, it shouldn't matter. Just play at a high level. So felt Tyler played great in the USC game and almost had a double-double, 11 and 9. And I actually thought AP played pretty darn good in the USC game. Gave us 8 points. Had a couple big moves in the second half where it did some good things. And then UCLA didn't play as well, but that's happens. And kind of the way the game was going with the subbing and the way. So nothing in particular. Obviously need him. He's been our second leading scorer. We need him to be ready to go. We need him to be aggressive, and we need his production out there as we head forward.
You guys have tried a couple different lineups,
Yeah.
different starting lineups heading into that. But the last two games, you kind of had Max and Tyler in there.
Yeah.
Just curious what you've really liked out of those, and if you can, see you guys sticking with that lineup.
Yeah, I think tomorrow we will. I've just liked the vibe. Max really, we've been searching on the perimeter, quite honestly, for the right kind of, whether it's JR or Jake to start at the point guard. We've started big lineups with Trey as a big wing. We just haven't had a lot of consistent play out of the wings. They've been good and bad with all of them. And Max really was the only guy that hadn't had a chance to start. We'd started Justin games, we'd started Jordan Clayton, we'd started Angelo Scervino. So I just felt my gut instinct was to give him a shot out there at USC to start. No rhyme or reason, just to give him a chance. And thought he played two of his better games. Made some big shots for us. Certainly we know with him, that's a big part of what he needs to bring for us is spacing the floor and making shots. He had three threes in the UCLA game, a big one late that cut it to 6. So just like the vibe of that group. It's a really young team. You look out there, you have Nick, but then you have 3 true freshmen and a sophomore. So it's a lot of young guys, and I've liked their energy. But that being said, we need those other guys. It's not like, hey, we're throwing anybody to the curb. We need everybody to be ready to play, and who knows, tomorrow, depending on how the game goes and where things are at, it could be 2, 3, 4 other guys that come in and really help us. So that's kind of the mindset we've had as a team.
Building on that high intensity, high effort environment, how important is that for a young group, like you mentioned, starting 3 freshmen, to progress and have that confident environment to grow?
Yeah, I think it's a culture thing that we've really prided ourselves on, right? That how we approach every day, how hard we practice, how hard we play, win or lose. One of the things I've always appreciated throughout the years, we've had really good teams and we've had teams that have struggled. I remember in particular when Brian McIntosh and Vic Law and all those guys were freshmen, I think we were 1-10 in our first 11. But the thing that really struck me about that group is throughout the course of the year, you always have former coaches or TV people that are doing your games that kind of watch practice. And I remember them always saying, man, you would never know that this team is 1-10 by their vibe, by their energy, by how hard they're practicing. And then what happened was we ended up winning 5 of our last 7 with that group as they kind of settled in and found a way to win a couple. And hopefully something similar for this group. We're playing a lot of young guys new to the college game. The game is so much older. I mean, it was crazy in the USC game. Chad Baker-Mazar is 26 years old, and we started 3 true freshmen and a sophomore. I mean, 26 to 18, 19 is it's a big difference in your lives. I mean, you guys think about when you were 18 and now you're 21, 22, add 4 more years. So, I mean, there's a lot of older guys in this league because of the way the rules are now. So, I want these guys to learn. I want their experience to grow each game. I want their confidence to grow. But every day that can't affect how we come to the practice floor. And we got to continue to work. We got to continue to want to get better and approach each game coming in with the confidence that we can win.
I've been working on something about Pat Spencer actually.
Yeah.
I was wondering, would you ever regress how he's grown as a player? And how did Northwestern contribute to his development?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gave him an avenue to play structured, competitive basketball. He was playing every summer in the D.C. Baltimore area, which has a lot of great players, but he was playing in pro-ams and rec leagues and things like that. So I think what it gave him was an opportunity to come to the Big Ten level, high major level, and understand kind of what it takes moving forward. His dream was to be a pro basketball player, and I just wish he had one more year with us because I really think he learned so much that first year, what kind of, the body type. I mean, he's changed his body. He's leaned out. He's really improved as a shooter. He was always such a freak athlete, but he realized, man, I gotta become a better shooter. And I just never bet against that guy in anything. But I tell you what, it's one of the more remarkable stories that you'll ever see. Someone who hasn't played organized basketball in 4 years, plays 1 year of college basketball, and now is a rotation guy in the NBA. It's one of the more remarkable things I've ever seen. His competitiveness and his fire and his toughness. And, when you're the best in the world at something, whatever that is, a sport, an activity, an art, whatever, if you're considered the best, there's a greatness to that. And I've been lucky in my life to spend some time around the LeBrons and the Kobes and the Michael Jordans and guys that are the best of the best that have ever played this game. And there is a greatness to them. And Pat carries some of that. He's the best of all time in lacrosse. I mean, so, that being said, not knowing much about him, just bringing those qualities into our program that year, it was going to be worth it. And little did I know that he was going to be an NBA talent too. So it ended up being a great thing. I know he's very appreciative. He and I have a great relationship, and every time, he's very appreciative that we gave him. No one else gave him we were the only one to offer him a scholarship. So, he's very appreciative of what we did, and I'm very appreciative of him, what he brought to our program, the will, the competitiveness, the fire, showing our guys. Because remember, that was Boo Booey's freshman year. And I think Pat had a big influence on Boo as he then became, one of the best guards in the country.
In an era of college basketball, so much roster turnover, how much more difficult is it to kind of cultivate that environment with the characteristics that you're looking for?
Yeah, it's harder. There's no question. I mean, it used to be where you could build kind of a team and know, okay, we're going to have these guys together pretty much for the next 3-4 years. We're going to play them as young guys. We're going to grow, maybe take some losses, take some lumps, figure it out, and then get good. Now it's almost year to year. And, we're still trying to stay true to the development you see with what we're doing. I mean, I'm not sure how many Big Ten teams are starting 3 true freshmen right now. We're one of them, and we're going through that a little bit. And, I think you also know with the way the rules are, you have to be very active with what's going on in the transfer portal internationally. Pro players now coming back to playing in college. So you have to be in tune with all that. But, I would like to consider that our program can still kind of do things by keeping kids within, developing from within, and then adding around that core going forward. That's always been a really good model for us.
Coach, I wanted to ask again about Max Green.
Yeah.
The most minutes this season, each of the last
Yep.
games. It seemed like a little bit before it was kind of like you got to go into the game and just instantly be hot, but now
Yeah, right.
being in the starting lineup,
Yeah.
had this more, a larger role, being able to kind of find his own rhythm and
Yep.
stretch that out, not just as a spot-up shooter, but really on ball as well.
Yeah.
Just curious from your end what you've seen with that and how this expanded role has really helped him some of his.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. The more you play, the more comfortable you are with not pressing as much. And especially when you're a shooter. I went through that as a player too. I was kind of considered a shooter, and when I was young, you kind of knew I have to come in. If I don't make a shot or two, I'm probably coming out quickly, and that's a tough position to be in, and I understand that. And so I think the more now playing more minutes, playing extended minutes, I think he's settled in. He's shooting the ball better. He's not pressing as much. He's letting the game come to him a little bit more, which is all things we've talked about with him. But a lot of times it's hard. I get it with these guys. You come in for a couple minutes and you want to make something happen, you're going to press a little bit more. So I think these last 2 games have been great for him. He knows we need him, so that's part of it too. He's a great competitor. He wants to help. He wants to win. And I felt like these last 2 were his best 2 games. I mean, to your point, not only just making shots, but I thought he made some plays, made some really nice drives that led to passes. He competed. He's rebounding the ball on the defensive end. So it's great to see. And obviously, I told the guys, I mean, we still have 11 games left in the conference. It is a long season, but we have more conference games left than we've played. So, I mean, there's still a lot of ball to be played, and hopefully he can use what happened last week to really have him play his best basketball here in the last 6 weeks.
Coach, what can you say about the development on the defensive end the last couple weeks, especially from young guys like
Yeah.
you just mentioned Max Green, but especially Jake West? Feels
Yeah.
like he's one kind of spectacular block a game.
Yeah.
And that hasn't, or it wasn't the case
Yeah.
for 2 months of the season. So
I just think the experience, these guys playing, you kind of realize what you need to do to be successful, and the physicality it takes, the mental capacity it takes to not, whether it's a switch, whether it's a coverage. For young players, that's a big thing when you come to this level. And I think they're getting better, and I think they're just competing. There were a stretch of games that I wasn't pleased with our competitiveness and just how hard I felt like there was another level we could get to, win or lose. I've really challenged the guys to compete harder, to play harder, to loose balls, 50-50 rebounds, chasing down, if a guy has a layup, going back and making it hard. We had one the other day where they got a steal and we didn't give up on the play, and he went down and he missed a dunk just by having a guy hustle and get back. So those are all things we've really harped on, and I'm proud of the young guys for kind of trying to learn from that and get better. And that's what we have to do. I mean, I think going into those 2 games, we hadn't had a game where we held a team under 75, and we did 68, I think, USC, and 71 UCLA. So and 20, and that was after giving up 41 in the first half. So I thought 3 of our 4 halves defensively showed real progress, and we're going to have to do more of that if we want to be successful down the stretch here.
Going back to Pat, when no one else would give him a shot, what might you say?
Yeah, I think the things I described, I just felt like, even because we had no film on him. So from a basketball perspective, it was all kind of word of mouth. But when I had conversations with Pat, and the way he was wired, the competitiveness he talked about, the will, the determination, all those things. We had a really young team at that point. That was Boo's freshman year. We had a sophomore class of Pete Nance and Miller Kopp and Ryan Young. We had a lot of young guys that were in the program, that were trying to figure things out. And so, he came in as an older guy that had been a champion level performer in another sport. And I just felt, even if he wasn't a great basketball player, I felt some of his qualities would rub off on our younger guys, which they did. And he ended up being a lot better than I thought too on the court. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Be good. All right. Thanks for coming.
All right, go ahead for Nick.
big win against USC. Haven't really had a chance to ask you about it. How good it felt to get the first win?
Yeah, it definitely felt great. Felt like getting that first one really gives you confidence. Felt like a weight was lifted off our shoulders, and especially the guys that came out there and did their jobs, like Tyler Kropp, who hadn't really played much, and Jake and Max, who it was his first start at the time. Going out there with the new lineup and just battling everyone that came in. AP embraced a different role off the bench in that game, and he just did a great job.
Everyone's been talking about how there's this new atmosphere of higher effort, higher intensity that kind of played out and improved in LA. How do you feel like that's progressed? And
Yeah, I mean, talk is definitely cheap. We're going to see, how hard we play this next game against Penn State because they play hard as heck. But yeah, I definitely think there was a difference. Even in the loss to UCLA, I just felt a different type of energy out on the court, and that's something we've been looking for. Is just that, going back to our roots, the way that Northwestern basketball is supposed to play.
What do you think you guys learned about yourselves in that trip to Los Angeles that you can take and kind of carry into these next 2 games against Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really anything different than what we've thought in the past. USC was a really good team, and we went out there and beat them. And there's been really good teams that we've played against that we really put to the test. We brought them to the last 2-3 minutes of the game, and we just ended up, not taking care of business. But knowing now that we can execute late in the game and win games is, I definitely think, getting that first win, as I said, is huge for us.
You mentioned how Ayrton kind of excelled in that offensive role against USC. How have you seen him adapt towards the Big Ten and his confidence going into these next 2 games against Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a superstar, as you guys know. He does some unbelievable things, and we all know it, So whenever he's in, he's going to be him, he's going to do him. And yeah, I just think he's just done such a great job. He's been such a great teammate. When we're trying to figure things out and win in the Big Ten, it's not easy to win the Big Ten. We were trying to figure things out, and he's just done a great job adapting to whatever role he has to. I know there's going to be games where he scores 20 points. He's capable of scoring 20 every night. He's a super talented player. He's just done a great job, supporting whoever needs to support in their role.
You spoke about looking for that effort and finally unlocking it, in those games against USC and UCLA. What do you think kind of made that happen last week versus earlier or not happening at all?
Yeah, I don't know if it was urgency or, just maybe the lineups, but I definitely think, when you have young guys out there, they're just so excited to be out there. And I remember when I was young, I still, had that excitement, but yeah, I definitely think, those guys really brought it in LA.
I'm working on something about Matt Spencer, and I know he's a bit before your time, but what's it like for you guys watching someone who came to this program succeeding out having that?
Yeah, I got the opportunity to play against his brother Cam, and you could just see the competitiveness of both of those guys. So, yeah, it's really easy to see why he succeeds. Having that just ultra competitive spirit. He was the greatest lacrosse player of all time, and you can just see it in him and in his brother, and it's something that's pretty unmatched. He's out there every night. Like, one thing you'll see, maybe if the shot isn't falling, maybe it is, but you'll see his competitive spirit come out every night, and that's why he's successful.
Now that the group has kind of gotten the first win under its belt, maybe a little bit less of urgency in that regard, how do you make sure you keep up the effort, in this stretch moving forward?
Yeah, there's still a lot of urgency. We only have one win. All of us know that we're capable of having more than one win, and we've shot ourselves in the foot, and that brings a ton of urgency. These guys want to win games. Everyone in here is a winner at heart, and it's obviously been a difficult year thus far, but we still have 11 games left in conference, and then postseason play. So, we could completely turn this thing around. We still have hope each and every single game, as I tell you guys every single time. I'm going to come out here with the same spirit, same energy to, support these guys, support this team.
During this difficult stretch, like those first 7 losses in the Big Ten, how do you communicate to the young guys what this program is and the things that you want, and how were you able to translate that into that victory against?
Yeah, I just think our coaches have done a great job through everything that's happened, through all the losses. They obviously can't be super happy with the way we've been playing and the way that they've supported us through that and, held us to a standard. There's a standard here, and they've held us to that standard each and every day. They haven't changed, themselves as coaches and as people. So, I appreciate them and commend them for that. So I don't really think I've had to do much. Obviously, I have super good relationships with these guys, but those are personal relationships. So we obviously talk and have heart-to-hearts, but it's really been the coaches.
Thank you.
Yep.